guys, it's Coach Robbie from MyDragonFire.com here to bring you another functional fitness video that's going to come from another direction. It's going to come from self-defense training. I have a lot of experience in martial arts training, and you guys might be saying, how do we know that what he says has any value? How do we know we should be listening to him? Well, after over 30 years of much trial and error learning, studying, teaching, competing, bleeding, sweating, investing a lot of time, investing a lot of money, learning how to samurai, earning multiple black belts, training firearms with law enforcement officers and military veterans, CIA and FBI instructors. I've figured out a couple very important things. Number one, I learned how to prioritize different self-defense solutions, if not violence avoidance altogether. An example of that is whatever the self-defense scenario, getting back home without anyone being harmed is priority. So if you're out somewhere, maybe at a farmer's market, maybe you're in a restaurant, and let's say the worst case scenario could be you hear pop, 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 and it keeps going, pop, pop. And you realize you're in an active shooter situation. The shooting is not stopping; it keeps going. Is there a way you can get your family to your vehicle in an alternate route with everyone being safe? And even better, can you get home and say, "Wow, we made it home. No one harmed." That would be in the ideal situation. And then that's more important really than what self-defense technique is the best way, will be the best way to go back into the restaurant and subdue the attacker and take on the active shooter. What's the best caliber? What's the best gun? Before all that, your number one priority should be, how do we get everyone to safety? How can we get more people out to safety? And then, and ultimately, can we get home? All right. Number two, what I learned was, I learned how weak I was. So it's one thing to work and work and work, and then for you to see your results. It's another thing to get feedback. It's another thing to experience what you think you can do and what you can't. More importantly, what weaknesses I needed to develop into strengths was what I learned about myself. A lot of people focus on strengths and they try to run away from their weaknesses, or focus on their strengths to get ahead in your career path or whatever. I like to identify my weaknesses and see what the financial investment looks like, how much sweat is involved, and potentially how much time is involved to start seeing results and turning those weaknesses into strengths. So one, I learned how to prioritize self-defense solutions. Another one, I learned how to identify my weaknesses and turn them into strengths. So these experiences led me to design and teach my home defense seminars. To bring awareness to my approach to self-defense coaching, I have a series of self and home defense videos that I think you'll enjoy. There's even a short film in the works about how to bring these principles together, or what happens if you don't bring them together so well. That's interesting, so stay tuned for that. So if this type of series interests you, before moving any further, remember to subscribe, hit that little bell so you always know when we release a new video, and leave your self-defense comments below, and like and share this video with whoever needs to start training. To set the stage for this series, I first want to get you thinking about a few things.
The bro science of fitness and fighting. Like listening in on Bill and Ted as they plan their most awesome and excellent combat adventure. Most of the myths I'm going to be covering in these videos are the results of overhearing well-intentioned, outspoken Jet Li wannabes who honestly could have the potential to become the next Jet Li if it weren't for their childlike criticism destroying the image of the arts. You know the type. Every style is stupid, but theirs. And instead of doing proper research, getting work done in the ring, and gaining some level of experience, they're always getting themselves caught up, listening to and regurgitating unresearched YouTube rumors, watching so-called experts' instructional videos, and fake or unrealistically set up fights, while constantly getting involved in adolescent-level discussions, highlighting exactly how much they really don't know. I'm here to bring some clarity to some common misconceptions of the martial arts world. Some of the favorite topics of discussion, which I will be covering here, include: what are the ultimate self-defense approaches to different scenarios? Traditional martial arts are just forms of dancing. I love that one. The best fighting style for the street is boxing. No, Thai boxing. No, modern Thai boxing. No, judo. No, jiu-jitsu. No, MMA. The truth is that these styles are all sports with rules and conditions behind them. Are these sports the best to apply if you work as a Leo and have standard operating procedures and codes of conduct, which if broken can lead to serious legal and career repercussions? If you're in the military overseas, are you going to tap out during a fight? Keep things civil by stopping and moving back when you score a point on the battlefield, and follow up by touching gloves and being a good sport when a threat is bringing insane aggression to a confrontation? No. On the flip side, can, and most importantly, will the average citizen on American soil respond to a threat the way a Marine in Afghanistan responded to threats? Who are you dealing with? How will you realistically deal with your situation? These are all legitimate things to consider when hearing dudes give science lectures. As a non-law enforcement, non-military citizen defender, you really need to think about these questions because, man, thugs don't care about how tired you are in a fight or how hard you have worked for what you have. And most criminals don't care about the legal consequences of their actions. Also, in a self-defense situation, would you be geared up and run your kit the same way a law enforcement officer or soldier would? If not, why should you train and compete in the same fashion as they do? In the home invasion scenario of a criminal versus an armed citizen, what brought homie into your house for a visit was that you just had something he desperately wants. But you are in the way. Many times that means you are in the way of their drug or money situation, whatever that means. If they know you're onto them, you're armed and ready to rock, and the cops are on their way, that just might be their cue to flee. In a good scenario, that just might be how things work out. But what if it doesn't go so well? What about in an active shooter situation? How should you prepare to react in your environment? What is most practical for you? What does that look like? Because of the potential of being identified as a threat, war belts and 3 o'clock outside the waistband holsters are probably not the best way to go. Covert kit should be ideally the everyday citizen's focus. Nobody should know that you're a defender until you jump in to save lives. With all that being said, I can't stress enough the importance and value of getting to know the local laws of your state. When planning for handling this situation, this is always a good starting point. Terrorists, however, don't care, period. They're different from your average garden variety, drug-hungry criminal. They have a job to do and are ready to die for their cause. And they just might decide to take as many infidels with them if a defender is present and the authorities are on their way. This is a totally different scenario. So, how should you react to them? These are all self-defense considerations based on your profile that others see and other people's behavioral profiles you should have been observing long before your incident occurred. This was discussed in my Run, Hide, Fight video. Within your environment, what messages are you projecting out to the threats and victims in your world? Are you projecting, I see you, and I know you see me? Or, please, don't hurt me? Size does not matter in this scenario because awareness goes a long way, and a confident presence is actually your first line of defense for deterring threats. How do you sit, stand, and walk? How do you talk? Do you make brief but frequent eye contact with everyday citizens as well as perceived threats? All of these points of body language determine if a threat will qualify you as someone to make his move on, or not. Also, with this nonverbal and universal language, victims will either identify you as a defender or as a fellow victim.
Well, that's it for this video. My upcoming self-defense videos are so overdue, and with all the different stressful situations happening in our society, at the release of this video, there's never been a better time than now to be thinking about self-defense principles. So study and share these videos. Keep an eye out for some live videos as well. And until the next one, stay aware and think, think, think.